right, so this is the Romans chapter 11 video. See, because this is another chapter that Christians tend to hold hostage by isolating certain sentences, putting a chokehold on it.
Mom. Yeah, that's right. That's what I call for your mama.
And then creating a new doctrine. So let's just get right into it. So again, Romans is a letter, not a book. It's not actually scripture. That's why I did a video talking about mandatory authority versus persuasive. So Paul's in a persuasive authority. That's why he quotes mandatory authorities. He does it all throughout his letters because he doesn't have authority to create his own jurisdiction, his own doctrines like Christians do. So I know they think that, but it's like, hey, remember aforetimes, remember. So let's just get right into this. Really at the end of 10 is the last verse of chapter 10. But to Israel he says, and then here's another quote of a mandatory authority. All day long have I stretched forth my hand unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. This is the gist and end of chapter 10 as we then go, because again, we did chapter 9. They screwed us up big time. The last verse is talking about a specific people. It even has a quote, so because he's not stretching this and extending this to non-Israelite people, because this is spoken to Israel. This is the disobedient people. I bet you if we even went to the focus, Isaiah 65:2, it's gonna say the same thing, just for the record. So starting out at verse 11, again, this is one long letter. You don't just jump in the middle of a letter and put a chokehold on a sentence and make it about whoever you want it to be about. I say, then has Yahweh cast away his people? That's a question, obviously, a question mark. His people is Israel, where this chapter and verse ended. It says, never, for I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. That's still in place, it's still intact. So he's starting this chapter off, before we get into branches and sticks, whatever. He's letting it be known, this is what I'm talking about. What we tend to do is throw this part in the, well, not we, but Christians tend to throw this part in the trash, jump to their favorite sentence, again, put a chokehold on that. Now this is everybody being grafted in. Yahweh has not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Know you not that the scripture, again, mandatory authority, it goes on to that, saying, okay, this is another mandatory authority quote, killing the prophets. This is important too. I know this is in Kings 1:12. That's over here. Booyah. It's in Kings. I got First Kings memorized. But anyway, so I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, we're getting to the point, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. So again, we're staying with this because there was Israelites that decided to worship idols, and then there were some that stayed true to the game. So that, again, that's leaving off in our chapter 9, where there was wicked Israelites and righteous Israelites, Jew and Gentile. They're all the sons of Jacob. I showed that, again, it's chapter 9, boom. It's the tearing off of the seed of Jacob. Though the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. A remnant fraction shall be saved. It's still talking about the same thing. There's that tearing off. So the sticks being grafted together is still referencing this one nation of people as we continue. Even so, verse 5, even so then, at this present time also, there is a remnant, we just read that, according to the election of grace. Again, these things, I'll just do this like this, pertain, the adoption, glory, covenants, Torah, grace, and all that. Everything is pertinent to this one people. So it would be a contradiction that is pertinent to them, but it's pertinent to these non-Israelites. That's a contradiction. That's why religions have contradictions. Courtrooms have contradictions. There's no contradictions in law and the word. Okay. Getting into grace. Okay, now let's just get right into one of the main the provoking to jealousy. Ooh, this one here. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Nope. But rather through their fall, salvation is coming to the other nations or Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Okay, so again, just like I showed in 9 and 24 in the last video, even us, focus. He has called not of the Jews only, but the Gentiles. People, again, Christians get excited when they see Gentiles or other nations. They think this has to do with them. See, other nations. Now, if they fall, as you were. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the other nations or Gentiles, how much more their fullness? For I speak to you, other nations or Gentiles. I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles or other nations. I magnify my office. Again, he has no jurisdiction to go out to non-Israelite people. It's been established. Okay? If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh. It's like I gotta read that again. To provoke to emulation them which are my flesh. My brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, and might save some of them, because we know that, again, from chapter 9, we saw that a remnant will be saved. We actually saw that in this chapter too. But for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, that's the thing here. There's the them that were first cast off. This is a reconciliation. You know, I don't think Christians are good at word definitions, but to reconcile means you were once there in the first damn place, okay? So, and then also the reconciling of the world. This is a specific world as mentioned here, okay? What shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? Again, the wages of sin is death. What is sin? The transgression of the law. What does the law apply to? The giving of the Torah pertains to Israel. Again, if you can't isolate sentences, you'll be making up your own doctrine that this extends out to non-Israelites. So this is the reconciling of the world that was first cast away in the first damn place. That's the them, the world. Okay? 16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So it's talking about a root, because again, the branch, the trunk is connected to the root. The leg bone connected to the thigh bone, the thigh bone connected to the hip bone. It's not like perplam, it's all of a sudden, you know, you got a Negro knee with a Fugazi German leg bone with a hip bone that came from an Ethiopian. This is all one tree with the same root that was holy in the first damn place. So are the branches. So these roots and branches are all connected. And if some of the branches be broken off, again, the tearing off, going back here, Jacob and Esau. Esau was torn off. Jacob's seed is torn off also. It's split in two into Jew and Gentile. It's all the same, because the explanation from Hosea shows that these Gentiles are other nations or Israelites, because it's concerning Israel. The sand of the sea, a remnant being saved, a remnant, I can't say remnant, the majority being cast off as other nations. It said it in the quote, you will not be my people. If you're not the Most High's people anymore, you're Gentiles. But you can reconcile. This is not foreigners come in, because that's not a reconciliation. Got to be careful with words, man. Boy. Okay. You can't just read one sentence in this and, oh, I'm a part of the branch of Boobadoo. This might not even be your people. It's the root, okay? And if some of the branches be broken off, and you being a wild olive tree, that's what you are in the wild, were grafted in among them, and with them partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Again, Paul does not have any authority to make up his own doctrine. Boast not against the branches, but if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root you. You will say then, the branches were broken off. Like, man, y'all was wicked. Y'all went off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. That's the thing. Because they were broken off, because they fell off. They threw the Torah to their backs, because there was, again, those holy roots. This is Israel becoming Gentiles, like we saw in chapter 9. Don't be high-minded, because like, this is just, again, we were faithful and true. We never went left against the same nation, different tribes that did go left. That's what this whole chapter is talking about. I got straight A's on my report card. You started getting F's and dropped out, but 10 years later, you decided to get your diploma. You turned back from being a slacker. It's possible. Because again, the beginning of this, did God cast away his people? Never. You can't, it's still going. But when you pick through this, I'ma grab this and grab that, woo-de-woo, you're gonna start making up doctrines. Okay, 23. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. This they is, again, is specific to where we started. Grafted in, for Yah is able to graft them in again. Again, meaning they were there in the first place, which makes this a reconciliation. to repent, return. Okay? You would have to show where the Most High was just rocking with all people on the earth. I'll pay for that. For if you were cut out of the idolatry, see, you were cut out of the idolatry, meaning you were there in the first place. You were of a holy tree, a specific holy tree, which had a root. Okay? The root was holy, so are the branches. Let's not forget about that covenant y'all made. Okay? You were cut out of the olive tree, which is why by nature you were made not a people. Chapter 9. This is just so important. You are not my people. You are not my people. These words were spoken to only Israel. Concerning Israel, they were made Gentiles, which is why other nations are Gentile. That's what this is talking about. That's what this is talking about, okay? You can't just grab a sentence, graft it in. Oh, now I think I'm a son of Abraham. No, that's a nitwit. The grafting in only applies to a specific branch of the children of Abraham. You feel me? As a matter of fact, even speaking of branch, right? Even when you go to the first instance, these branches were broken off. You have the split, right? It's just, you got to know more than just Paul. Like Christians they worship Paul. Again, going back to Hosea, I'm going to go to 10, but where it says, you are not my people, there it should be said unto them, Israel, you are the sons of the living God. Verse 11, then shall the children of Judah, your Jews, and the children of Israel, your Gentiles, be gathered together. This is your two sticks being grafted together. Okay? This is not willy-nilly. Even when you go to the account in Ezekiel, right here. Even when you go to the Ezekiel 37 account, this is the first instance of grafting. It says, starting at 15, 37 and 15. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, moreover, son of Adam, take you one stick, write upon it for Yehuda or Judah. This is your Jews. Judah. You see that? Judah. And for the children of Israel, his companions. Okay? So this is Jew and Gentile. This is Jew and Israelite. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into one stick. I don't see Ethiopian, Greek, French, Dutch, I don't see all of this in here. That's what I'm saying. People are seeing this grafted in, and then they don't realize that they're making up a doctrine that extends outside of a specific people. That's where this even starts off with the Most High's people, Israel. Okay? You can't throw that off in the trash. Let's go to 25, verse 25. I'm just covering these main points, right? Okay, grafted into the wild olive tree. For I would not, brethren, that's like I gotta keep reading. This is not a religious brethren. This is Paul's brethren who are Israelites. This never gets read in church. My brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, Israelites to which these things pertain. That's his brethren. Verse 1 of chapter 10. Brethren. It's the same brethren. For Israel is that they might be saved. He's calling out his brethren. It never changes. Brethren, that you should be ignorant of the mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel. That blindness is what made that remnant or fraction Gentiles. They was, we just went over that in Hosea. In the reconciliation until the fullness of the Gentiles come in, and so all Israel shall be saved. There's no contradiction. This is the specific salvation that Paul was talking about. Then he gives an example, but that's, again, it's going to contradict the doctrine. There shall come out of Zion a deliverer, and shall turn away wickedness from Jacob. All sons of the earth, it specifically says Jacob, right? For this is my covenant unto them, because that's who the covenant pertains to. Where was it? The covenants pertain to Israel. It's right here. And take away their sins. Everything else with the other nations will fall in line after. But there's an order here. Order of precedence. Okay? And that's actually the gospel. It starts out with that, the Besorah or gospel, that is talked about first time in Isaiah. You got to know that there's two types of Gentiles, and that there's two types of salvation for those Gentiles. When you just say salvation, well, who salvation? Gentiles, which ones? That should always follow. I think I made my point with this chapter, so you know what I mean? It is not very much different from chapter 9 when you really think about it, but this is that tearing off of Abraham seed, then from Isaac's seed, which we had 2 sons, and right here it's torn off there, and then there's a tearing off here where there's like that remnant of Jacob. You know what I'm saying? So again, Jacob is Israel. So that's all I have for now, as it is written, and I'm out.